Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to The Pulse. We are live from our studios here in Kokomlemle on your digital terrestrial TV because we are free to air. On DSTV, you'll find us on channel 421. On GoTV, we're on channel 144. And remember, we are your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. This afternoon on The Pulse, was she pregnant or did she even get kidnapped? This afternoon, the word of a husband against that of the Regional Security Council chairman as controversy deepens over the alleged discovery of a 29-year-old woman 1 week after she allegedly went missing. We have an update from the community where neighbors are now wading in on the controversy. Now, the Greater Accra region is set to overtake the Ashanti region as the most populous region in the country, as the Ghana Statistical Service reveals that Ghana's provisional population after the 2021 population census is 30.8 million people.
Greater Accra region has caught up with Ashanti region. Indeed, from the provisional figures, we are seeing Greater Accra region edging up as the most populous region marginally.
We have details here as the population and housing census reveals 6.1% in population change between the 2010 and 2021 census. We'll also bring you live telecast of President Akufo-Addo's address at the United Nations General Assembly right here on The Pulse. This and more coming up. My name is Kujo Yankson.
Hello, my name is Nathaniel Atto. You can catch up with all the fun and inspiration on the Joy Sports link here on Joy 99.7 FM, together with all other shows over and over again. It's very simple. All you need to do is go to myjoyonline.com/podcast and relive all of those fun moments over and over again. Joy 99.7 FM, your radio for discerning listeners.
Joy 99.7.
Right, let's get started. So, was she pregnant? Was she kidnapped? These are at least two questions the entire country is struggling to answer right now. 29-year-old Josephine Simmons was reported missing by her husband last week. She was said to be pregnant at the time of her disappearance. Family sources then alleged days later that they had received a call from supposed kidnappers of Josephine who demanded a ransom for her release. Well, yesterday, a carpenter came up and said he had found her in Axim, 60 kilometers away from the location of her alleged disappearance. The tale of events has given the country a lot to think about, considering the disappearance of some 4 girls in Takoradi about 3 years ago. Those girls were later found to have been killed by a man suspected to have kidnapped them. Now, the Western Regional Minister, Kwabena Ochire-Daku-Mensah, says an initial probe by the National Investigations Bureau shows the story of the woman is false. This position is being challenged by the man who is said to have impregnated the woman, her husband. The community has waded in on this matter, but first, let's hear from the Western Regional Minister, Kwabena Ochire-Daku-Mensah, who has been speaking on Takoradi-based Connect FM this morning.
Honorable documents, Ewa Humano. So, honorable documents, I'm watching. Now, what to say?
I do Morocco.
You know about yes. Another, as some we see, a ra, a year kidnap women, him say, oh, share procedure for sending money who are moon to an amount. A brother and your friend was so ray.
In Dra, na BNI for the sending report is I'm na our Azim hospital. And the police for no are still there. The medical doctor no so action. Na ma Odikan need there from their preliminary investigation, they suspect that this whole story was fake, and that the medical doctor was even looked at her, saying that Onyobia Onyinsan is so. This thing has been bundled around for a very long time like that. So that is the immediate information we have now. But police phone or at the hotel.
Or say medical officer no or examine a rano or say
for trying
story near fake.
I see on him.
Na rano on him. It's on you saying
that be.
Hey,
But you know, that's the information
na
my security people have brought to me.
Obano Minini Kunukasano, but was it wow pain, wow backo. Na Bema no so say the eating him. Nema means to say on him. No, I was so I wouldn't ban on you. Doctor no says I mean, doctor no soon who say wow.
He said, Doctor no, I could the same thing. I'm a BNI for it.
That was the regional minister, Kwabena Daku-Mensah, who also happens to be the chairman of the Regional Security Council. Now, Michael Simmons, who is the husband of the woman, insists, however, that his wife was pregnant and indeed did go missing.
She was pregnant for 9 months, and she was kidnapped at Old John Saba Road. When we noticed her absence, we searched for her at various hospitals in Sakurade. When we got back from our routine, my mother-in-law, came back with a cry saying some guys have called her to tell her that her daughter has been kidnapped. They have her daughter, so she should bring up some ransom for them to release her. After saying that, they just hung up. And since then, we had no calls from them again. And just yesterday, we had a strange call, an unknown number calling us that she has found a certain lady who can speak, who can talk, and she was able to write something on a paper for them, which was my number, and then my name as well. So they called. So I also asked them if they can describe or like take a picture of her and then send it to us. So they described her, and from their description, we noticed that it was her. So we came here to Axim, and God being faithful, we found her. So right now we are at Axim Hospital, where she's taking medical attention. Yeah.
So what is the doctor looking for? I mean, what is she being treated for in the hospital?
We heard nothing from the doctor, nor the police. When we got the call at first, we called the police to notify them that this is what we've heard. So we don't know what to do. So they asked us to come and then have a look at it. So when we came, like less than an hour or two, they also came in. Yeah. But since then, they've not given us any information. They said nothing concerning our work. But we asked them, they kept saying that they are still investigating.
Who did you ask?
The police.
Have you spoken to the doctor about your wife's condition?
Nah, we've not even seen the doctor.
You haven't seen the doctor?
Yeah.
Where is your wife currently? Do you know which part of the hospital she's being admitted?
Yes, hospital, at Azim Hospital, so I think it's the emergency unit. Yeah.
So when did you bring her to the hospital?
Yesterday when we found her.
And since then you haven't seen her?
Yeah, this morning we saw her.
You've seen her this morning, but you haven't met the doctor who is taking care of her?
Nah.
All right. So did you say your wife was pregnant?
Yeah, she was pregnant, 9 months pregnant.
How do you prove that she's pregnant? Does she have anything to prove she was pregnant?
Yeah, we have pictures of her to prove that she was pregnant, and she was attending antenatal, which she has pregnancy record book to as well. And so many people in Sekenita Kwade can testify that she was pregnant.
I see. And so when she returned, in which state did you meet her? I mean, when you found your wife, in which state was she in?
I don't know what to say. But the pregnancy was not there. And like it looks like someone who has been to some muddy place or something. Yeah. But she was able to recognize us and everything. Yeah.
And is this her first pregnancy?
Nah.
She already has. How many children do you have with her?
We have one kid already.
Okay. And this was supposed to be your second child?
Yeah.
And so, since you've seen her this morning, has she been able to utter a word or even communicate something to you?
No, she has not been able to utter a word. But if ask her something, she can't speak, so she just uses hands to just do some sign that I'm feeling fine. I asked her how she's feeling, and she said she's fine.
And so, who do you think would commit such, take your wife away from you, abduct her? Do you have any suspicions of what might have happened that day?
No, we don't have any idea.
So, what will be the next step for you now?
Right now, we thank God that she's alive and she's responding to treatment. So right now, what we are waiting for is for the doctors and the police to release us, to release her to us so that we can take her home and then ask her some questions.
Right. The day your wife went missing, did you launch a report with the police?
Yeah, the very same day.
That very same day. Which police department did you launch your complaint with?
Takrade Central Police Station.
Okay, and do you have an idea of any of the officers, the names who were present at the time?
Yeah, the name of the CID that I gave the case to was Inspector Hakim.
Yeah. Meanwhile, tempers are rising among family members and neighbors of Josephine Payne Simmons, the pregnant woman, allegedly pregnant woman in Takrade. Our correspondent in Athalia Kwansa visited the family. Here's what she found.
I'm here at Sweet's mother, where Josephine Payne Simons resided before her unfortunate kidnap on the 16th of September 2021 here in Takrade. This is where she lived with her mother and other family members. We are here to speak to the family members and neighbors around to find out if indeed she was pregnant before her kidnap. We understand from the Western Regional Minister, Kwabena Ocheda Kumensa, who happens to be the leader of RESEC here in the Western region, that reports available to him indicate that Josephine was not pregnant. But we are here to find out from the family and friends. But first of all, just across is the Amono Street, where family members earlier said that Josephine usually go for her everyday walk. And then just in front of me is the Parklands roundabout, where they thought she had been. So let's go and speak to some family members and neighbors. So right now we are in the house of Josephine Simons, the lady who is in the midst of all these controversies. Family members have heated up. They insist that she is still pregnant.
We want to remove her from the Azim hospital. We don't trust the doctor. The doctor who said that pregnant is not pregnant. Pregnant has not given birth. We want to remove her from that doctor's hand.
But they are giving her medical attention.
It can be fake. The medical everything can be fake. The doctor who said that pregnant has not given birth, pregnant has not been pregnant, that doctor can be fake. So we need that our family member here.
Okay.
At that time, no age, no small boy, no 3 years. No, I would feel. I want my mom. In the Mamino, Jolly, our friend, I didn't call school. Emma Colano, Mamina Sambai, or by no son, our friend, our friend Moniz and on bay. No, about 8:30, about 9. Near friend who couldn't. And if it's a new there, our friend church, our Banovana, no couldn't say, on Baho. Yes, the Mukunimbra. Now, you who our friend will feel. It's a Kuni Beno, and a Kuni Chere, a friend on Benin Chen, And there's a phone number in Chandia. Yes, so you move my phone call, Libya. Oh, yeah, on Nancy, will be a Kenyan we could pay hospital. Into young hospitals, young fish, Libya. We pray one. Into you call them around saying you know, Yada or Flano, we pay hospital. At that time, no, come about 12 to 1 room near Kaye. A report, our police station.
Bathed the son in the morning and sent her to school. When she came back, the pregnant woman had not returned home. This was between 8:30 and 9 in the evening. So we called the husband to check if her pregnant wife had been with her, but the husband said no. We asked the husband to come home since the woman has not been seen after she left for a walk. When the husband came, we suggested to him that since we are not seeing the wife, we should check with some hospitals. Perhaps she had been taken to the hospital for an incident. We checked the various hospitals, but to no avail.
We pray one. You call them around saying you know Yada or Flano, we pray hospital. At that time, no, come about 12.
Hence, we decided to report the issue to the police, and they made us write our statement. After this, the police asked us to send our statement to the court to sign.
If you want to know, catch an answer, young folk papers no call a court. No court to someone since sign. It's about 3:30.
About 3:30 p.m. on Thursday, we received a phone call. It was the pregnant woman's voice. She was shedding tears and pleading with the mother to come to her rescue, since where she was unbearable. She asked exactly where she was and requested that she gives the phone to the owner, but the owner truncated the call.
For phone money pena or didn't lie a man my friend no and cassa into the pocket phone no a cat phone into your fair line
we called the line severally, but there was no response. On Friday morning, around 7:26 a.m., we received a call again, and the person said, "We are no longer going to use your daughter for what we intended, so we have set her free." And that was the end. She attends antenatal at the European Hospital in Takrady, and the records of her antenatal attendance will be available.
Nti yako ebenya report or chade okoho.
Oko benya. Woko benya. European Hospital.
Right, now let's talk to our correspondent in Nathalia Kwanza and see what else we can learn on the latest developments. In Nathalia, what else have you gleaned?
I can hardly hear what you are saying.
If you can hear me now, tell us what else you've learned.
I've been to the European hospital where Josephine is said to have gone for antenatal here in Takrady. When I went, I was able to speak to the hospital administrator, Reverend Osei Boateng, who says that indeed Josephine has been visiting the hospital. The first time she came there was on the 9th and 10th of September. Subsequently, she has been visiting there. But because of privacy, the client has a privacy, he is unable to tell us details as to the reasons or what led to her coming there. Let's take a listen to what he has been saying.
Your facility? I would say yes, because we've been here for more than once. And the first time we came here was 9th and 10th of September 2020. I pay our records. And after that, she's been here on 1 or 2 occasions to assess healthcare services. All right, but as you know, this has become national interest. In fact, I believe that even the IGP wrapped down to the police command in the region and our district here. This morning, we have officers from the central police station here as a follow-up on this same issue. And there were 3 here, including the regional crime officer, the Takrady station here. Yes, and I told them that, yes, we have gone to our records, like I say, we have seen traces of her coming here. And but per operation, we will not also, we can't release details of medical condition for which he assessed the hospital, the facility. And so if they so the desire and they want to get the details about the condition for which she came here, she will put everything to writing, and the service, and when we service, we will take it from there, and if it becomes necessary, as we are compelled by law, we will do so and give them the full report of the person in question.
Okay. Right. So essentially, it's about, you've confirmed that she's been assessing the facility.
Yes.
But as to the reason why she came, the problem that the reason behind
for coming, the condition, the condition of which she comes here, that one I can't disclose it
because you are not obliged by
I'm not, because that is a confidentiality, patient confidentiality. We can't disclose any person's condition to the third party without the express approval of the person concerned or by law. Yes. So for now, I cannot disclose the details. Condition, medical condition for which it was, obtained when she came here for services.
So it means that you will not be in a position to tell us the last time that she even came here.
Even that one, I will not. Looking at the nature of the case in question, all the cases, this is a serious investigation, and we can make any deductions here and there. But I've told you that the first time she came here was the 1st of 9th and the 10th of September. Okay. All right. Ever since then, she has been coming here to assess facility services here. Okay. So the details will be released when we are told to do so. We are directed by the authorities or power they be to do so.
So it means that even the security people, you haven't given them any information.
Like I said, the police officer, when they came here, I told them that fine, our records are there, but for me to give the details information to you, but for them, because of the nature of their work, at least they have the opportunity to assess one or two things. I mean, because of course they manage the security of the nation, so you cannot told everything. But the detail of it, what condition, that one I told them that please, we can release those documents to them if you bring us a letter. Okay. So that is where we have reached.
Thank you very much.
That's the voice of the hospital administrator at the hospital facility, the facility where the woman who disappeared is alleged to have been visiting since September last year. No details yet of the condition for which she was visiting the facility. What we do know is that she visited that facility a few times between September last year and the recent occurrences. Now, we had our correspondent on the line. I think we've lost her, but we will certainly bring you more as we continue to learn more on this issue. Now, the Ghana Police Service has interdicted some police personnel following alleged brutality in the northern region. Now, this follows the Northern Regional Police Commander, COP Timothy Yusa Bonga, who visited victims of Monday's police brutalities. The visit was to apologize to victims for the way and manner in which they were manhandled. COP Bonga said the duty of the officers there was not to misconduct themselves, but to ensure that the exercise was executed.
Yes, I know you know why I'm here, but you are still asking. I'm here because 2 days ago, our boys came here on some small operation with the NETCO officials. And in the course of providing security, law and order for them to do their work, they end up misconducting themselves. That is why we are here to extend our apologies to those who were manhandled, because that was not the reason why they were asked to come. So they went beyond bounds, and the police administration have seen the reason that no, we are to protect, to maintain law and order, but not to abuse people's rights. So if they have done this against our own people, there is a need to come and express our sympathies to them. That is why we are here this morning. The whole this thing will be investigated. So it's being investigated. If there's any missing item or not, the investigations will come out, and then we know what actually happened. It says in our dictionary line that when administration sees that people have gone beyond their expectation, they interdict them in order to help conduct proper investigations to their conduct. So the interdiction is to help conduct proper investigation and give information to administration of the next line of action. So they are interdicted, it's just the first step, and the investigations will continue, come out, and then everybody will know, the administration will know what actually happened on the ground, and now know what to do with the personnel.
And now, there seems to be tension.
I don't see any tension. We are here with our people, we are talking. I don't see any tension here.
So what?
You see, there is a saying that, as my uncle said when we were talking, that out of plenty granules you have, there may be one or two bad nuts in it. It doesn't mean that the whole granules is not good. So it is something that has happened, and we are working on it. That is why we are here to correct and build that relationship with the community. The community is our friend. They need us, we need them. It is because of them we are here. We are here to serve them. So we have come to apologize, and we are interacting with them so that we can correct the wrongs in our system to be able to.
Right. Now, the police, the National Police Command has actually issued a statement on this matter. Let's have a look at the details of that statement. And it says, 4 police officers interdicted for unprofessional conduct. This is dated the 21st of September. It says the police administration has, with immediate effect, interdicted 4 police officers working with the Tamale Regional Police Command following the alleged assault of some persons in Tamale in the northern region today, Tuesday, September 21, 2021. Now, they were assigned to assist NEDCO and VRA officials to arrest some alleged persons involved in illegal power connections. The officers will face a service inquiry subject to the regulations of the Ghana Police Service. Processes have commenced to identify the victims for the necessary medical assessments and assistance. We apologize unconditionally to the affected persons and to the general public. This is signed by Kwesi Ofori, who of course is the Assistant Commissioner of Police and Acting Director General for Public Affairs. Now, one of the victims, Sule Seidu, says he received a call from the IGP and a delegation from the command to commiserate with them. He said he was impressed with the swift action taken within 24 hours.
Oh God, oh please forgive. It is never me. I never did something. I see the name. Oh God. It is about you. Oh God. It is never me. It is never me. You kill me. It is never me. You kill me.
No, the pepper spray. Oh, what? Pepper spray. Boy, hey, I'm washing. Go to the other side. Go to the other side. We can't withstand it. We can't withstand it. Now, he knows
where they've gone.
There's a lock inside.
This one I lock.
Hey, Bomoshe.
So later I was called, it was late, so they coming this morning. This morning I came to the house to take some interview with one of the stations. So I want to apologize. It's a history. You know, police service. We are with police. They are there with us. So we don't have any option. Because we can't live without police. So it's a history. I talked to the IGP and the commander is here to see what is going on. Yeah. You know, we don't use wrong to correct wrong. So we are here to see what is going on. It's a process. Because I was visiting them at their office, we exchanged numbers, and we saw letters on social media, how the 4 people were interdicted, and I've given details about some of the CID's actions to the commander himself, and I'll go and give them much as well. That's what I have to say. You have to accept, but you'll see what is missing and what is going on when the investigation are taken. And all those things can be found, we don't have problem. And as well, they have to work on the gates and other things. So we are here to see up to now. Actually, you can also see it in our face. Yeah, it's very easy, but we are seeing it to be normally now. But I talked to the IGP himself, and I know he was aware something happened like this in my side, and I see that the IGP is aware, and immediate action has been taken less than 24 hours or almost 24 hours. At least what is going on so far, I am really impressed. The 2 days well, in my room there was some money missing, and that particular man, I don't know, either the policemen go up to that point to take it, or after their program and after their action, and somebody go in. Yeah, I'm not telling you the policemen go in and steal my money. But they did that and leave the police. After that, I don't know what is happening. And what? Yes, and my son's motor is taken and the HP laptop. So we can't tell, either the police take the laptop and the motorbike. We are here to see after the investigation. We've also seen that a lot of things are spoiled. So they asked one of the men to come on and do any other things and see how they can work on them. So the people they assaulted, they asked doctors to check on them. Our small boy who was Amsalif Seydou, a proprietor.
Victim of police brutality in the northern region there. There's more to come on the pulse as the president gets ready to take his turn to address the United Nations General Assembly for the first time over the past 2 years, thanks to COVID-19. Stay tuned. We'll bring you that address live right here on the pulse.
Hello, my name is Nathaniel Atto. You can catch up with all the fun and inspiration on the Joy Sports link here on Joy 99.7 FM, together with all other shows over and over again. It's very simple. All you need to do is go to myjoyonline.com/podcast and relive all of those fun moments over and over again. Joy 99.7 FM, your radio for discerning listeners.
Joy 99.7.
Welcome back. Now, between May and September this year alone, the taxpayer has coughed up close to 10 million Ghana cedis to fund the president's trips, including his recent one to the United Nations General Assembly. That is according to North Tongue MP Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, who has filed another urgent question in Parliament demanding full disclosure on the cost of the president's latest foreign travels, as he accuses President Akufo-Addo of using a luxurious jet costing 3.7 million Ghana cedis for his recent trip to the United States. The question remains why the president is still not using the presidential jet, when it has emerged that the Liberian president, George Oppong-Weah, recently used it for the ECOWAS meeting here in Ghana. There's more in the following news desk report.
It is really shocking, I must say, that the Ghanaian people can be treated with such presidential contempt when the dust is yet to settle on the Airbus AC J320 New Sky Bat scandal, now infamous for the ministerial acrobatics in Parliament. Words of North Tongue MP Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa in the latest article on the president's recent trips. There is renewed public outreach as it emerges once again that Ghanaians will cough up another 3.7 million cedis to fund fund a private charter of a luxurious aircraft for the president and his team to travel to the United States to participate in the UN General Assembly. Already, Mr. Okujeto Ablakwa has announced his intention to file another urgent question to demand full disclosure on how much the president's charter trip is depleting state resources.
Why is our president not using it to save money? 10 million Ghana cedis, hoping 10 million Ghana cedis for just 3 trips, in the space of less than 3 months. I can assure you that we will pursue these 2 other recent trips.
The presidency has, however, declined comment, saying the matter is an issue of national security. They also confirmed, however, that Liberia President George Weah used the country's presidential jet for the ECOWAS meeting here in Accra, granted based on a request made to the office of Ghana's president. An online video we have cited show the Falcon landing on the tarmac with the inscription Republic of Ghana, with Liberia President George Weah in white apparel stepping out of the presidential jet. When the ministers of Finance and Defense, Ken Oforiatta and Dominic Netiwo, appeared before Parliament on the cost and whether the presidential jet was fit for purpose when the matter came up earlier this year, this was their response.
Mr. Speaker, the President's domestic and international travels are matters to do with national security. The National Security Minister is really best placed, Mr. Speaker, to furnish this honorable House with the details needed.
When the president is traveling with more than 20 people, he will need more than just a Falcon. The president, in fact, has to go a day ahead because no president can shower in this aircraft. You cannot freshen up in this aircraft. So you cannot move from this aircraft straight into a meeting.
The question now remains whether it has become absolutely necessary to demand a national policy on presidential travels similar to what pertains in other jurisdictions. Will the National Security Ministry provide details on the presidential travel so far? It remains to be seen how it will all unfold when Parliament resumes sitting.
Meanwhile, a former chief of staff, Kojo Mpianim, says Ghana can adopt best practices which oblige the president to pay for his private foreign travels. Now, the Wildlife Division of the Forestry Commission has written a strong complaint to police in the Northeast region over what it says is the continued illegal possession of 6 elephant tusks by some community members in the region. The tusks, according to the division, were hacked off 3 elephants that were attacked and killed separately in May and August this year by some residents in the East and West Mamprushi municipalities. Signed by the regional manager, Justice Bin Lila, the division says the continued possession of the tusks by the community members is prohibited under Act 43 of the Wild Animals Preservation Act of 1961. Now, he's therefore requesting that further investigations be expedited into the matter in order that the tusks hacked off the killed elephants can be retrieved from the community members and appropriately reverted to the state. Ilyasu Tanko has this report.
In May this year, some residents within the Wungu traditional area in the West Mamprusi municipality pursued and killed a transiting elephant near the Monsieur community. As it later emerged, the elephant was shot dead against the express orders of the paramount chief, who was said to have warned the residents not to harm the animal. The residents disregarded the order, and before authorities could hear, the killers had already dismembered the carcass and vanished with a pair of tusks. This incident infuriated the Wildlife Division of the Forestry Commission. The police in Wale were involved, with the paramount chief pledging to assist them retrieve the tusks. And after weeks of intense manhunt, the tusks have been found, however, yet to be handed over to the Wildlife Division. This is because the paramount chief and his elders want to perform a special ritual and consult the gods, and the Wildlife Division is expected to facilitate the traditional handing over process. Regional manager of the division, Justice Bin Lila, confirmed their challenge in retrieving the tusks from the palace.
Yes, and so we kept following up on the case. Eventually, fortunately, he mentioned to us that indeed he managed to retrieve the elephant, the pair of elephant tusks back from his people, and that is some piece of good news, as you see, because the tax belong to the government, and they must get back to the government. So they are en route back to the government, because once the paramount chief has gotten it, we are so hopeful that he will do nothing for get the task back to the police command. Then we would also take hold of them, and so that is basically what we are waiting. We hear the paramount see the traditional council wants to undertake some rituals, perform some rituals to pacify their gods, so they can hand over on the killing, pacify the gods on the killing of the elephant on their land, shedding the blood of the elephant on their land. That tells you how important, how significant an elephant can be. The blood of an elephant is being equated to a human being culturally. So one of the importance of elephants as far as their management conservation is concerned. So we are waiting for the paramount chief as soon as those rituals.
While at it, on Wednesday, 25th August, 2 elephants again were attacked and killed by residents of Yankasia in Bintiri in the Eastman Precinct municipality. The elephants were said to have killed a 42-year-old man named Fuseni Mbeni after he joined others in an attempt to catch a glimpse of the elephants that were moving through the community. The incident was said to have enraged the community members who, as a result, mobilized their weapons, trailed and also killed 2 of the elephants in retaliation. Both elephants were also dismembered and swiftly carried away together with the tax. In the complaint copied to the overlord of Mampurugu, the Wildlife Division says whilst it regrets the death of the 42-year-old man as a result of the attack, it unequivocally condemns the illegal killing of the 2 elephants by the mob, and particularly the 4 tags that were surreptitiously slipped away by the community members. We are on this note, it concludes lodging a formal complaint and respectfully requesting that further investigations be carried into the matter in order that the 4 tags hacked out of the killed elephant can be retrieved from the community members and appropriately reverted to the state. Human-elephant conflict has persisted for years in the northeast region, which is directly within the Red Volta elephant range. The forest reserve and bordering savanna vegetation also form an internationally important elephant migratory corridor linking to the elephant ranges in the Republic of Togo and the Republic of Burkina Faso, and thereby allowing cross-border movement of elephants among the 3 countries. Ilyas Sotanko reporting.
Now, former Mayor of Accra, Alfred Okuvandapoy, has charged government to stamp out all political elements within the distribution chain of premixed fuel meant for fisherfolk. The product, which is subsidized by government, is distributed to various fishing communities under the supervision of the National Premixed Fuel Committee. But the fisherfolk say the product is now being controlled by illegal cartels, which are hoarding and selling to them at exorbitant prices. Manuel Coranting was at a community engagement held by some leading members of the NDC with fisherfolk at Choko, and he now reports.
It's Kwame Nkrumah's day, and we are celebrating as such. And also, today is a day that the fisherfolks don't go to sea. So we added the 2 and made sure that the missing link between us.
Former Kumasi Mayor Kojo Bonsu explaining why some senior members of the opposition National Democratic Congress decided to engage fisherfolks within the Choko community on Nkrumah Memorial Day. The fisherfolks, among other things, raised concerns about the recent challenges with premixed fuel. Now, it is very difficult to get a premixed fuel. When our husbands go to fish, they don't get enough catch. It's even very difficult for us to get the premixed fuel to buy. We beg the government to make it accessible so that our husbands can return to work and get us something to eat. It's become a huge challenge in the area. Some people who are not part of the fisherfolks are the ones controlling the premix, and they sell to us at exorbitant prices. It's very disturbing. It's hurting our jobs. We are unable to properly fish because we don't get access to the premix fuel. MP for Blakema South and former Accra Mayor Alfred Okuvandapoy stresses on how the politicization of the distribution process is hurting livelihoods. He recounts how Premixed fuel administration under his watch was done and calls. For a return to that system.
We did not look at party folks. The Premixed fuel is for fisher folks. So there is no need to get non-fisher folks involved in that business. Today, the Premixed fuel is not going directly to the fisher folks. You understand? They will tell you that some individuals will get it and then resell it to them. So what is the benefit of the Premixed fuel? Secondly, I also know that when the Premixed fuel will go to the fisher folks, they will have a program to which the interest or whatever benefit is accrues out of the sale. They will sit down and they will say that at the end of it, we want to undertake this project. We want to do this. Today, that is not in existence. So Premixed fuel is coming to our people every day. It is being sold every day, but where is the benefit? Where is it going? It's going into the pockets of some people who do not even belong to the fishing industry.
Meanwhile, former MP for Ablikuma South, Fritz Baffo, believes government must begin treating the fisher folk as an important segment of the country.
The powers that be have got to pay a lot more attention to the concerns of the fishing communities in Ghana. They're a very, very important group in terms of revenue, in terms of service to the community. So we have to make them a special sort of constituency that we've got to address. We can't dismiss them.
So we can now take you live to the United Nations General Assembly, where President Akufo-Addo is about to address the world. Let's join him.
When I made my first appearance at the General Assembly as the newly elected President of Ghana, I said neither Ghana nor Africa wanted to be scars on anybody's conscience. I said we want to build economies that are not dependent on charity and handouts, because long and bitter experiences have taught us that no matter how generous the charity, we would remain poor. Between 2017 to 2020, Ghana recorded an average growth rate of 7%, amongst the highest in the world. In 2020, when the global economy in sub-Saharan Africa has contracted by 3.5% and 2.1% respectively, Ghana was one of the few countries that produced a positive growth rate. This is a testament to our determination to build a Ghana beyond aid. 1 year on, although infection rates and deaths are relatively lower in the region, the virus's impact on economies and livelihoods has been damaging. The latest numbers from the African Development Bank indicate that African economies, which contracted by 2.1% in 2020, are yet to return to pre-pandemic levels. More than 30 million Africans fell into extreme poverty in 2020, and nearly 40 million could do so in 2021. The social impact has been devastating. Over 103 million African jobs have been lost. Women, who account for 40% of total employment, have been most hard hit. So, President, we're listening to the scientists. It is evident that vaccination is the way to protect populations and revitalize societies. To vaccinate 70% in the shortest possible time, as is being done elsewhere in the world, means some 900 million Africans have to be vaccinated. The Afro-Exim Bank structuring of the Africa Vaccine Acquisition Task Force $2 billion acquisition of 400 million Johnson & Johnson vaccines is part of the historic African Union's COVID-19 vaccine development and access strategy. It is a critical milestone in our collective fight against the pandemic, in a continent suffering the worst brunt of vaccine nationalism. The Africa Vaccine Acquisition Task Force vaccine program, partly manufactured in South Africa, is the single largest and most far-reaching trade transaction since the entry into force of the African Continental Free Trade Area in January this year. It is eloquent testimony to the benefits of domestic production and pooled procurement in Africa as envisaged by the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. Ghana agrees with the call of the Rome Declaration of Global Health for voluntary licensing and technology transfers to boost vaccine production. The African Union is working with WHO, WTO, and other global partners to expand its vaccine manufacturing and deployment. We in Ghana have so far received 5 million doses, which have been administered to frontline health workers and those classified as being most at risk. 5 million is not a figure to be sneered at, particularly when we consider the situation in many other African countries. We're grateful that our efforts in the management of the pandemic and vaccine distribution have been recognized, and we have received these amounts so far. We're still hoping to vaccinate 20 million of our people by the end of the year. One unfortunate development appears to be the recent measures on entry into some countries in Europe, which suggests that Covishield, the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine manufactured in India, is not recognized by these countries. What is intriguing is the fact that this vaccine was donated to African countries through the COVAX facility. The use of vaccines as a tool for immigration control will be a truly retrogressive step. Mr. President, the last time there was such an upheaval in the world was during the Second World War, which led to the establishment of a new world order. This organization, the United Nations, and the other Bretton Woods institutions were created to maintain international peace and security, help rebuild the shattered post-war economy, and promote global economic cooperation. Even before the pandemic outbreak, many had concluded that the current structure of global economic cooperation, designed some 77 years ago, has proven inadequate to finance infrastructure and economic transformation in developing countries. Given the incapacity of the global financial system to produce the necessary outcomes to finance sustainable development, we need a constructive review. COVID-19 provides a great chance to rethink global economic cooperation based on the principles of mutuality, equity, sustainability, and collective prosperity envisaged by the SDGs. There is no question but that if the famous gathering in San Francisco was to take place today, it would be a significantly different United Nations charter that would be written. In much the same way, a World Bank or IMF or WHO that is born today would be radically different institutions from those that were set up after the World War, as many of the countries in today's world, especially in Africa and the Caribbean, were not present in San Francisco. The pandemic has also shown us that the great advances in science and technology notwithstanding, we still have a lot to learn and discover about the human body and about life. Thus far, in spite of the grisly predictions of dead bodies littering the streets of Africa, and in spite of not having as much access to vaccine as the developed world, Africa seems mercifully to have escaped the worst of the COVID death rates. And for that, we thank God. Ghana wants to share a few thoughts which we believe should form the basis for the new global cooperation. Firstly, we need to strengthen the funding of the existing global health organizations. This must include a greater, more predictable base of multilateral funding for WHO and regional centers of disease controls, which play the central roles in global health security. It will require dedicating an additional 1% of GDP to funding global health. This is an investment in the global public aid goal, not aid. Secondly, we must develop more resilient finances to build back better and for future preparedness. Across the African continent, revenues have decreased by as much as 150 billion United States dollars, as economies are still reeling from the economic impact of the pandemic. African governments have already spent scarce reserves fighting the pandemic and providing social protection to millions of affected households. Ghana has been advocating that innovative financing must also address structural challenges beyond responding to immediate fiscal needs by providing mechanisms to facilitate investments in health infrastructure, technology, the environment, and people that will bolster resilience and equitable recovery. The IMF's unprecedented $650 billion United States SDR allocation offers a unique opportunity to provide additional financial resources to address the vast and surging inequities the pandemic has revealed and a crisis to come. Africa's allocation is some 33 billion United States dollars. If ever there was a time for an African Marshall Plan, it is now. The SDR infusion should be seized upon as a catalytic effort to leapfrog Africa to the next level of human development and ensure sustained global prosperity. African leaders have advocated for a prudent and transparent channeling of 25 to 35% of SDRs, that is $160 to $230 billion, from wealthier to vulnerable countries, $100 billion of which should be dedicated to Africa. We welcome the support of the European countries represented at the Africa Summit in France, the IMF, the G7 and G20 to some SDR redistribution. Mr. President, proceeds of channeled SDRs should fund vaccine acquisition and manufacturing, climate and green investments, and a Pan-African stability mechanism, like the European Stability Mechanism, that will safeguard financial stability on the continent. A part of the redistribution should also help fund the recapitalization of the African Development Bank to enable speed and flexibility in deliberation and decision-making. Admitting the African Union to an expanded G21 would have the same galvanizing effect within Africa that the EU's participation in the G20 has within Europe, strengthening policy coordination and coherence across the 54 African economies. With the African Union at the table, the group suddenly would have representation for 54 more countries, 1.3 billion more people, and 2.3 trillion more output. This extraordinary increase in representation will add just one seat to the table and about 10 minutes to the discussion. However, it will redefine global policy coordination to enable a more prosperous, inclusive, and sustainable world to emerge. Fourthly, we in Africa are as committed as any to the fight against climate change. We believe, however, that the fight is better advanced if we're able to maintain the crucial balance between economic, political, and environmental imperatives, positions that we will be articulating in Glasgow at the COP26 conference, which should form part of the new global compact. Lastly, now more than ever, we must defend democracy, constitutional rule, and human rights in the world. In the last 24 months, we've witnessed assaults on democracy around the world, sometimes even in developed countries where we had assumed that a consensus on the democratic form of governance had been established. Mr. President, in West Africa, recent events in Mali and Guinea have undermined democratic governance in our region. ECOWAS, the regional body whose authority I have the honor to be the current chair, is unreservedly committed to maintaining democratic governance in the ECOWAS community. That is why both Guinea and Mali, foundation members of the community, have been suspended from its organization pending the restoration of democratic governance. We welcome the support of the United Nations for the measures taken. ECOWAS has given Guinea 6 months to do so and requested the immediate release of President Alpha Condé. On my visit to Conakry last Friday, the military leaders indicated their willingness to see to his imminent release, and it is our hope that they will keep to their word. The authority has also made it clear to the military government in Mali that it is not prepared to negotiate an extension to the February deadline for the holding of democratic elections, as the essential steps to be taken can, with political will, be effected within the ECOWAS-sanctioned timetable. It is better that a government with a democratic mandate be in place as soon as possible to implement the necessary reforms for the future stability and growth of Mali, thereby enhancing capacity for the all-important fight against terrorism in Mali and in the wider Sahel. We in Ghana highly resolve that we will continue to defend democracy and constitutional rule and uphold human rights. We shall work to strengthen the institutions that support democracy in our country and in our region. We shall continue to support the United Nations and other international organizations to help remind us that indeed no man is an island entire of itself. I thank you for your attention.
On behalf of the General Assembly, I wish to thank the President of the Republic of Ghana for the statement just made, and I request protocol to escort His Excellency.
President Akufo-Addo there completing his address to the United Nations General Assembly. Of course, this happening for the first time in the past 2 years, thanks to COVID-19 keeping everybody away from this August gathering. As the President takes his leave of the podium, I'm joined in the studio by Raymond Akwa. He and I have been paying close attention to what the President had to share. And he did have quite a bit to share, mostly about COVID-19.
Certainly, and it was interesting how he took the fight to them. You know, there's currently, I mean, he calls it the COVID passport war, which is basically countries saying, especially countries that refer this to the same vaccines, especially the AstraZeneca that was done in India, and there's AstraZeneca done in Europe too, and there's a difference between that. The main problem they first cited was that EU itself had difficulties with the authorization and the, how do you call it, there's a process for it, the quality assurance of the facilities that were producing the AstraZeneca vaccine from India, and that they said they have not completed it as of March, and they extended it to July, and still they claim that the completion has not been done. And these completion requirements made it difficult for the EU to accept. So countries like us, when we go to those countries with the AstraZeneca card that we've been given, like in Ghana here, in fact, it's part of that completion process. If you do recall, some people were asked to send further information for them to really, myself, I was asked by Kolebu to send more information for them to cross-check what they had in their system so that they can verify and then have a comprehensive sort of data that they can send to the embassies and also through to the airports so they can travel nicely. But it looks like that has been still rejected by the EU and other countries. Recently, we understand the UK has joined that particular list. So they'll treat you like somebody who's not been vaccinated. That is what the President is complaining about. And predominantly, it is countries in Africa, Asia, and the Pacific who seem to be at the brand or receiving end of these sanctions, because we are also the people who are predominantly using the Indian AstraZeneca vaccine. And that's what the President complained about. In fact, his complaint is also to the point that if they don't fix it, we are taking us back to the years where we basically had different rules for different countries when it comes to accessing the airports, and made it difficult for others to be part of the conversation right from the beginning. And he also talked about the progress we have made. He talked about the fact that we are still vaccinating a lot of our people. What was interesting was when he mentioned that we've had 5 million so far, because as we speak, we have only done vaccination for about 1.2 million people, which is below the 5 million. Indeed, on the continent, we are not in the first 10 countries that are really gone through vaccination or are on the list of those with very high marks when it comes to vaccination. Those countries predominantly have Seychelles and also countries like South Africa, all doing more than 10%. In fact, the very predominant population within the first 10 have all done at most 15%, which looks like a good picture. Looks like we're still below the 5% with the 1.2 million that we are doing our vaccination with.
So what he actually said was that Ghana has received 5 million doses. Is that accurate? Even if we've only administered 1.2 or so, have we received 5 million doses?
I mean, what we have been told officially, and the ones that have come through the airports that they've done fanfare for, which they officially report, well, if you put it together, should be around about 3 million put together.
Right.
But of course, I mean, there is no way you can independently say that we have not received it since you're not at the borders and you're receiving the information. And I was talking to you about which countries are doing well on the continent. So apart from that, Mauritius has done 55% of its population. Morocco has just done 45% of its population. Then Tunisia, 26%. Cape Verde has done 19%, far better than Ghana anyway. And of course, some of these populations are also smaller ones. Cape Verde is just like 1 million or so. And
is also
yes, a very small one. Now, Botswana, 14%. South Africa, 13%. Zimbabwe has done 13%. And Mauritania, 12%. Equatorial Guinea is also 11%. Lesotho and Rwanda all are within the 10, 11, and 10%. So we in Ghana, who are still somewhere around less than 5%, are still battling the countries that are not in the top 10 or any recognizable position. Right. Don't you forget that it was at the end of September that we said we're going to do 10% of the population, which looks like less like it. We are yet to roll out what we have anyway. If we're able to do the 5 million, which looks like a good picture when it comes to doing the 10%, and let's not forget, it's not the entire population. It's the people who deserve to get the vaccine that we are looking at here. We have not reached the countries that are opening up to virtually anybody above 15. That's where the difference really is.
He mentions that the target is to vaccinate 20 million people by the end of the year. Bearing in mind vaccine traffic across the world and where we are in the queue, is this still a realistic target? We're in September.
I think this target was basically based on what everybody discussed in February. As of the updates that we're receiving from the Africa WHO, virtually the African targets are being revised downwards. So on the continent, the hope was that we will do more than 30%. Now we're pushing it down to 20%. In fact, some even believe that on the average, we should be doing 10% so far. Because if you have less than 10, or the 54 of the countries doing the 3%, 5%, it's not reasonable to expect that we'll go beyond that. Maybe there is something more that the president knows about where we are getting vaccines that the rest of us may not know. There's a lot of advocacy perhaps going on. Maybe that would shore up the numbers. But it doesn't look like by the end of the year, we would have done the massive numbers that we hope we'll be doing. Because currently, there's still a massive, fight for who's getting it and from where, more importantly. And also countries, because of this AstraZeneca-Indian problem, which, let's not forget, the WHO is also opposed to the decision of Europe. But the WHO has certified those facilities. And some of these European countries are the ones who send them to us. But really, I mean, if they don't clarify those ones, and if you're not changing to the other ones that others accept, like the Johnson & Johnson ones, we are less likely to make up the 10%. In any case, because some of them are double vaccines, that's where the problem really is. So if you get a double of 1 million and the double vaccine one, you really can deal with only half of the million that you want. But if it's like the ones that comes in a single dose, you really can get more people getting it at the rate that we're getting.
I mean, 20 million would actually be 30% of the population if it's a double dose vaccine.
Yes, I mean, watch it this way. If we are able to get with the 1 million or so, no, 1 billion that the World Bank has given us in our special drawing rights, which many say we should put it into vaccine purchase. If you're able to direct all the money into that particular area, that may help us to get it from the right sources.
Although, as we know, it's not about money anymore.
Well,
you can have all the money
that's currently a very debatable point anyway.
The vaccine, But I'm interested in what he says to the rest of the world when he says that the use of the vaccine for immigration control would be a truly retrogressive step. We're already seeing signs of this. You've alluded to it earlier in what you were, your summary. But here's the reality of it. The countries that gave us the vaccine are now saying that the vaccine they gave us doesn't qualify us to be vaccinated. So it doesn't qualify us to be considered vaccinated. in their countries. Now, what this means is that it's going to slow things down, not just for people coming from those countries, but for them as well, because they require people from our country. They require tourists from our country. They require experts from our country. They require all kinds of people to be part of the traffic going in and out of their country. So if they create these bottlenecks, everybody loses. Is it as black and white as perhaps the president may be making it seem? Could it simply be a matter of controlling immigration if there is so much to lose, even on the side of the countries that are making these strange provisions? And
they recognize that. So I've already seen the EU introducing what they consider to be the digital COVID-19 certificates. So to them, if you submit a certificate early enough, you can go through the airports without any difficulty at all. But the idea is still that the regulations...
You'll still be on quarantine for 10 days.
It depends on the two groups you are dealing with here. The digital certificates are really for countries they believe have gone through the proper certification. So that when they remove the likely difficulties at the airport with them, they now can have time to deal with those they don't trust their certificates because of the kind of vaccine they took. I also see happening because they are reviewing those rules consistently. Consistent decisions will be made later on to line up because they will need the numbers. They will need the numbers because we are basically moving out of the summer periods into the periods where their heavy tourism data will be reduced and the numbers will be coming down. They will not want to destroy their economy further. Let's not forget, they also need labor, which really they are pushing hard to get. So some of these things they are really going to revise along the line, except there's also the vaccine politics. They want people to get the ones that they have produced. Let's not forget that. At the underlining part is that you should get what we want so that we can push it harder.
Yeah. And the president, of course, talked about that and the plans of Africa to become a producer of vaccines. And of course, Ghana's plans to invest an additional 1% of GDP in global health. Okay, thank you, Raymond, for making the time to be with us this afternoon. Now, the Ghana Statistical Service is revealing that the total population of Ghana is now 30.8 million people. According to government statistician Professor Samuel Kobne-Enim, this is data derived from the 2021 population and housing census conducted between the 27th of June and the 8th of August this year. Females remain the majority of the population with 50.7%, while males represent 49.3%. The census revealed that although both the Ashanti and Greater Accra regions recorded 5.4 million persons, the Greater Accra region is marginally the more populous of the two.
Greater Accra region has caught up with Ashanti region. Indeed, from the provisional figures, we are seeing Greater Accra region edging up as the most populous region marginally. We await to see what we're going to get from the final results to declare that Greater Accra has overtaken Ashanti region, and for that matter, it is the most populous region. These two regions, that is Greater Accra region and Ashanti region, have respective populations of 5.4 million. The Ahafo region, which is the least populous region, has just 0.6 million persons in the region. And if you sum up the population of the 6 least populous regions, including Ahafo region, Oti region, Upper West region, Northeast region, the sum of these 6 regions do not equal the populations that we have recorded for Ashanti and Greater Accra region. Between 2010 and 2021 population and housing census, with our 24.7 million that we recorded in 2010 and the current population figure that we have now, the population change over the period is 24.9. Provisional results from the 2021 population and housing census indicates that Ghana's population has increased from 24.7 in 2010 to 30.8 from the 2021 population and housing census provisional results.
Government statistician Professor Samuel Enim. Now, the professor also explained that there are 10.7 million structures in the country, with 80% of them completed and 20% uncompleted.
Specifically, we saw Greater Accra having the highest number of structures, 2.1 million structures, and the Northeast region having the least number of structures, that is 0.1 million, specifically 132,000 structures. Ashanti region had the highest percentage of uncompleted structures, which was in excess of the national level of 20% of structures that were uncompleted, with Ashanti region specifically having 22.7 structures that were uncompleted. In the Northeast region, where we recorded the highest number of completed structures, we saw that 9 in every 10 structures, in the Northeast region was completed.
Meanwhile, there are 8.4 million households in Ghana with an average household size of 3.6.
2021 population and housing census, we identified a total of 8.4 million households in Ghana. The number of households in Ghana clearly continues to increase. And by saying that, since 1960, the number of households have increased sixfold, with the 8.4 million that was recorded from the 2021 population and housing census. The number of households in absolute terms increased by 2.8 million, comparing 2010 population and housing census to the 2021 population and housing census. This is 1.8 million lower than the difference that was recorded between 2000 and 2010.
Now, speaking at the event to release the provisional census figures, Information Minister Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah commended the service for braving the odds and successfully carrying out the population census, even with COVID-19 still ravaging the country.
And we congratulate you on the fact that you've been able to successfully come to this stage of this exercise. Second is the fact that this time round, we have succeeded in executing this exercise through a very robust electronic backbone. And so for conducting what we call the first digital census, we congratulate you. Third is the fact that COVID-19, as you mentioned, put the brakes on many national exercises, many census exercises in other parts of the world, but you, despite this, were able to brave the odds and to carry this through, and once again, we congratulate you.
Minister for Information speaking there. Now, the chair of the governing board of the Ghana Statistical Service, Dr. Grace Bediako, noted that the new figures will play a critical role in government's digitization agenda.
In the presentation that follows, you will judge for yourself what a laudable achievement this is and how worthwhile your contribution to this entire process and exercise is in the immediate and shall be for years to come. The census is one of many initiatives that will further the digitization agenda of the country. In this release, we who are physically present in this conference hall here in Accra are part of the larger audience comprising individuals with different backgrounds joining live on Facebook.
Right, joining us via Zoom to digest more of this information is Mr. Godwin Odei-Jibi. He's the head of data for the Ghana Statistical Service. Mr. Odei-Jibi, thank you for your time. Before we even talk about the data on people, let's talk about the data on structures, where it appears that out of the about 60% of structures that are for residential purposes, about 1/3 of them are makeshift structures like kiosks and wooden structures. What exactly does this say? What new picture does this paint of the Ghanaian living conditions?
Yeah, thank you very much. And I also like to thank the partnership being enjoyed by Ghana Statistical Service and the JoyNews in general right from the one you've been helping or assisting in publicizing the census. Fortunately, today we are on this process that we've announced the provisional results, which is part of the census publication of products, which we've outlined. Sure, what do you ask? And this particular census, we really asked detailed questions about the structures. So we went down to look at the completion level. Some are fully completed, some are uncompleted but then occupied, some are also not being roofed, but then they've made some sort of improvised roofing system for that. And then also there are several makeshift structures, kiosks and all those things, forming the huge number, which also indicate the maybe our structures not being too robust to withstand the vagaries of the weather and all those things. So if you look around, as the government statistician mentioned, we have only 80.2% of the structures which have been fully completed. What it means is that the rest of the structures, though being habitable, but they are not at the proper state of completion as indicated this morning by the government statistician. So I think it is not good for rest in this way, having only 80% of the structures being fully completed, meaning that there are still work ongoing in the rest of these structures.
Now, another thing is that there are certain statistics, and let's talk about the people now. Certain figures have been on the decline. For example, household size has been coming down since the year 2000. We're now at 3.6 members per household. But not just that, the increase of our population generally is happening at a decreasing rate. So we're not growing as fast. What could be accounting for that?
Yes, taking into consideration our population growth rate of 2.1%, what it means is that Ghana we're still growing very fast. But what the data indicates is that from 1960 down to 1984 to 2000, the rate of increase is very high. But then from that time to now, though it increased, but then it didn't increase as fast as we experienced some time past. So it doesn't mean that our population is going down. We are moving in terms of the numbers. So if you look around in 2010, the population was 24.7 million. Now we are hitting 30.8. Possibly we've added 6.1 million to it, which is not within this short period, this 10-year period. Our population is growing very fast. And when we come out with the final results and we take the dynamics of the various age groups into consideration, the age structure of our population, you will realize that possibly we are growing fast, looking at the dynamics or the structure of our population.
I want to thank you for your time with us, Godwin Odey JB, forgive me, who of course is the head of data production at the Ghana Statistical Service. This is The Pulse. Coming up next is sports on The Pulse. Stay with us for that.
What's up, guys? My name is Sammy Forson, host of the Weekend City Show and Ignition right here on Joy 99.7 FM. Well, anytime you happen to be busy and you miss out on your favorite shows right here on Joy FM, here's what you can do. Log on to myjoyonline.com/podcast. Just go on there and you'll find all your shows on demand 24/7. There you can catch up. Remember, Joy FM remains your radio for discerning listeners.
Joy 99.7.
Hello there, Hans Mainsando here with the Sports on the Pulse. Now, Ronald Koeman's days at Barcelona are numbered. The Catalans are considering sacking the Dutch coach after their poor start to the La Liga and UEFA Champions League. Koeman needs to win the next 2 La Liga games to save his job. Is Ronald Koeman really the problem at Barcelona or at Barca? Is it the case that they do not simply have a strong squad after the departure of Lionel Messi? Joining me via Zoom is a sports journalist and Barca fan, Benjamin Yamwa. Thank you very much for joining me, Benjamin. And how much of this slump, Barcelona slump, is down to Messi's departure? Try to connect with Benjamin. Benjamin, can you hear me? Hello, Benjamin.
Yes.
Right, Benjamin. Thank you very much for joining me. And I was asking, how much of Barca's slump is down to Lionel Messi's departure?
Well, absolutely. Hans, I think that,
Xavi Hernandez being the man to take over from Ronald Koeman. But does a coaching stint in Asia adequately equip him to deal with Barca's current predicament?
Absolutely not. Hans, it's shocking.
Okay, Benjamin, I think the point is well made, even though our lines have been a bit dodgy there. But thank you very much. There's a conversation we'll keep going on our various social media handles, especially on Twitter, JoySportsGH. Let's keep the conversation going there. In the meantime, you can read more at myjoyonline.com/sport. I am Hans Mensah, and many thanks for your time.
Hello, my name is Evans Mensah, and you can relive all the fun and excitement on Top Story, Newsnight, and of course, Ghana Connect via podcast. All you need to do is to log on to myjoyonline/podcast. Search for your favorite show and relive the moment. Joy 99.7 FM, your radio for discerning listeners.
Joy 99.7.
Well, it's all over, but as the fat ladies singing echoes across the studio, don't forget that if you have a penchant for the news, there's one place for it. It's myjoyonline.com. All the biggest stories are lined up there for your enjoyment and education. You can find out all that's latest in the world of current affairs, entertainment, business, and more. All right, well, I'm so glad you were able to join us. Until the next time, my name is Kojo Yankson, and you can stick a fork in us. We're done.
What's up, guys? My name is Sammy Forson, host of the Weekend City Show and Ignition right here on Joy 99.7 FM. Well, anytime you happen to be busy and you miss out on your favorite shows right here on Joy FM, here's what you can do. Log on to myjoyonline.com/podcast. Just go on there and you'll find all your shows on demand 24/7. There you can catch up. Remember, Joy FM remains your radio for discerning listeners.
Joy 99.7.
Welcome to Let's Talk Showbiz here on the Joy News channel. My name is Doreen Avio, and for a second I almost thought yesterday was like a weekend. I'm sure most of you were all thinking it was a weekend, but we are back at work today, and yes, I'm here to bring you nothing but the best in the world of showbiz. I'm going to talk about the Black Star Film Festival, also Kelechi Kwame appearance told as a chief. Then I have something on Fugees. Yes, Wyclef and the team likely to come to Ghana very soon. And well, these and many more here on the show. The name is Doreen Avi and the show is Let's Talk Showbiz. If you're just joining me, this is Let's Talk Showbiz, and we are starting with the Black Star Film Festival. So it's an annual event, happens every year. But this year, it has been launched and is a 6-day event. It started yesterday, and my colleague Ibrahim Bembako was there to interact with some of the people and the patrons there. And, well, let's take a listen to some of them and highlights of the event yesterday.
The fact that you're an ambassador for this, tell me exactly what are you supposed to do?
Well, it's been 6 years since the Black Star International Film Festival was birthed. And as you can witness from the activities that has happened over this period of years, it has been amazing. They have achieved a lot in their quest to promote the African cinema worldwide. And so today we are here to celebrate our 6th edition. And basically, as an ambassador, I am to help promote the project. That's the BSIFF project, and then to make enough noise about what BSIFF intends to do for the film industry in Ghana and again the African cinema. And so with my reach on social media, especially since we're in the social media age, I think they found it worthy that I would represent the brand, because I have a large following and an international following as well, all the way from Big Brother, being a fashion icon, me being an actress, me being a TV presenter, has made me cut across all these areas of fan base. So I mean, I think who best to use to channel this cause and to help spread the word that the film industry has revived. A lot of people are saying that, I mean, it's collapsed and stuff like that, but the Black Star Film Festival is set to revive the industry, as you can see, it's already happening. The president is giving out loans to some filmmakers for their projects. And so, yes, we are doing great and we can only go further.
Great. Thanks for the opportunity. Yes, so we've started. This is the opening. After today, we are going to have movie screening at the Silverbird Cinemas and then Alliance Française right here where we're having the opening. And then we have some master classes happening tomorrow. The first master class is from 4:30 to 6:30 about screenwriting. It's happening at Multi-Choice Ghana. And then we have a master class on stunt action also happening from 6:30 to 8:30 on the same day. Then the following day, more films are screening. So it's all about a celebration of independent filmmakers and independent filmmaking. So we are showing those films to Ghanaians and to audiences on our websites and as well as cinemas here in Ghana. So on Thursday too, we have a masterclass on the music business. We have the likes of Sadiq, the CEO of 3 Networks. We have Lisa, the country manager of Boomplay. We have Cyril, an entrepreneur, also a rapper. And then we have Kofi Boachi Ansa, I Am Beat Menace, also on there. So that discussion is going to be really hot, talking about the music business moving from passion to business. And then we have a masterclass on filmmaking, moving from passion to business. So we are, everything is centered around the theme, Film for Jobs. We are trying to communicate that the film industry has the capacity and the ability to mitigate the employment crisis in Africa and in Ghana, for instance, if attention is given to it. So everything that we are doing, every masterclass, every panel session is geared towards giving skills to filmmakers to make them capable and to continue the discussion about the ability of the film space to employ several people. So that's really what this year is about, the advocacy that the industry is capable if the authorities, governments, institutions, investors come in and invest in the film. I mean, the opening film we'll see is from Anthony Nti, who is a Ghanaian living abroad. And the film, he used Ghanaians, young Ghanaians. And it's amazing the acting that these kids display. And you ask yourself that, so why are these kids not being awarded? And that's the essence of film festivals. It unearths talents, new talents in the film space. And that's what the Black Star International Film Festival is all about. And that's what this year we are seeking to communicate.
All right, so that's it on the Black Star Film Festival. My colleague Ivy was there. He's brought us all these updates. Now, actress Mercy Esiedu is an incredible actress. In fact, she is good when it comes to her craft. She's been in the industry for quite a long time, but I'm sure we would like to know the story behind Mercy Esiedu before she got into the industry and how far she has come with that. Well, join my colleague Becky, who has been interacting with her. And yes, definitely it's going to be on Joy News and Joy Prime. But before that, let's take a look at what she's been talking about, her 25-year journey in the industry.
You disgrace me, my boy.
Make disgrace you.
Okay.
I was a seamstress.
Okay.
Before I came into acting. It's my godfather, Apostle Dr. Kojosafo. He introduced me to act because for some time when we went to convention, we tried to make to entertain the
people
congregations.
there. Okay.
And we try to make a play.
Sure.
When concert party started.
Yeah. You were in concert party
yes,
as well.
It's because of my
Apostle
Dr. Kojosafo. He introduced me Akrobeto and Ejaku. He told us, the thing that you are doing when we went to convention and stuff, no, is the same thing that they are doing in the television. So you can do better. Yes. Why don't you go and join them? And we say, hey, how can I do that? Also, you can do it because it's the same that you are doing and in the church.
Yes.
So you can do. So he gave us a story.
Okay. He wrote the story.
He wrote a story for us.
And gave you roles.
And gave us roles. So you go and start. Since then,
you have acted in how many movies?
Movies? No.
Wow. But I'm sure, since then, you know which one is your favorite. Which one would you say that?
Movie?
Yeah, or movie, yeah.
Movie that bring me out. Sorry, back.
Right, so that was actress Mercy Esiedu, and just watch how this weekend is all going to be on Joy News and on Joy Prime with my colleague Becky on E-Vibes. Now, musician Kechi Kwame Appiah has been installed as a chief. He is so excited and he's looking forward to bring a lot of tourists to that side of Ghana. And well, here's a report about how it all happened. A beautiful one. This is Ghanaian culture at large.
Papa, I can pack out when I'm I would the bow, she don't fit it.
After going through the customary rite, the chief was outdoored and presented to the larger family clan and the entire Saman township in a colorful procession through the principal street in a palanquin. Dignitaries, including top political figures, musicians, and filmmakers, graced the ceremony. Nana Chimude, being the Benkumuhene, is expected to be the caretaker of Lake Bosomtwe, the only natural lake in Ghana. He says he will use his influence to woo investment to turn around the tourism potentials of the lake.
I thank God Almighty for making this a reality. I will do everything possible to make Lake Bosomtwe a preferred destination for tourists. Together with my elders, we will woo investors to turn around the potentials of the lake.
Investors na omutimi beye bibi papa e wo Lake Bosomtwe ho na ye jai se enne Lake Bosomtwe ato sabe empan no kwan bia e nam so bia no meboa mafam de medase.
Former Member of Parliament of Asante Mampon, Francis Adenimu, is expecting accountability and transparency in the reign of Nana Kaichwe Trimude. He believes this will go a long way to make a positive impact in his regime.
He should be a servant and use his influence as a musician for development. He should lead with truthfulness, transparency, and make the development of Asama paramount.
And well, that's it on Kechi Kwame Appiah, and congratulations to him. We wish him all the best. And once he's in the creative space, we believe that he has a lot more for Ghanaians and, of course, tourists who will be visiting Ghana more often. And now to the international front, we have Fugees. We've heard so much about them. You know, they were together, they split, and they've been doing their own thing. And now we understand there's a reunion. They're looking to go on tour, and Ghana has been listed as one of the countries that they intend to visit. And of course, Nigeria, but we are excited about it. I'm sure most of us cannot wait to see them do their own thing. You know, Lauryn Hill, well.